They say there's never really a dead rubber in the ashes, and that's what the build up to this fifth and final Sydney Test match between Australia, beg your pardon, and England was. And what started off as a bright and sunny day, there were lots of runs on offer as well. England, after winning the toss, opting to bat first, but ultimately it was the rain, thunder, and bad light that played spoil sport. There were multiple times that you saw an inspection take place, but all of that resulted in nothing, and as a result, you saw an early end to day one at the Sydney Test match. It's almost now become routine that rain has a say in a Sydney Test match. We've seen that happen with India as well in the past, and yet again we see rain coming on and having the deciding say over here, the final say on day one. Whether that's the case in the subsequent days, that is something that's in the unknown right now. But we are looking at an early start, possibly a 30-minute early start tomorrow. That's what I'm picking up as far as this fifth test match is concerned. Let me talk you through what exactly is it that we saw right through the day. Three early dismissals yet again. Yes, there were a few runs that England managed. As far as their opening partnership is concerned, from what I remember from the previous match, I think their opening partnership average has been just about 15, 16 runs. It was just about that, a little better this time around. Duckett did get a couple of boundaries, but his horrible stay in this series has finally is finally coming to an end. Possibly one more innings for him, but I'm not too sure how much he can really salvage out of this particular series. It's been a disappointing show from the southpaw. Yet again was the first one to be departed, as we've seen between him and Zach Crawley. He's been the first one to get dismissed. Yet again, we saw it was Mitch Stark who had his number. He's really troubled him this time around in the Ashes, and that's how the cookie crumbled in Sydney. Was it really a wicket taking delivery? Perhaps not. A bit of a loose shot. The ball wasn't really in that channel of uncertainty, and he poked at it. That's how Australia got their first dismissal, and one became three in almost no time, because Bethel, also having scored a boundary, wasn't able to trouble the scorers much after a point, and then Australia landed that third blow as well in the first session. 57 for 3 is where England ended the first session. England were, in fact, in the first session at one point. However, things began to flatten out in Sydney, and you saw England then take the total to in excess of 100, I think it was, at lunch today, and you could see that there were signs of good batting conditions over there in Sydney. Both Joe Root and Harry Brook just riding his luck a bit with that scratchy boundary. Also got a reprieve later on because there was a spread out field that Stark had for him, but there was a fielder inside the ring, and the one that was on the rope, both of them converging. None of them, in fact, being able to close in on the ball, and that was a half a chance that the host had. But otherwise, it was just good stroke play. The ball was coming onto the bat nicely. A few times, Scotty Boland did manage to trouble both the right-handers with that nip backer. It's a lethal delivery, as you know, and even Joe Root was struggling on a couple of occasions. Having said that, England would feel hard done by because they had the momentum their way. They were looking good, but once the players went off and umpires took charge, there was no coming back, because it just became more gloomy. There was some thunder strikes we saw as well, some rainfall too. All of that put together resulting in an early end to day one. As I said, you could be looking at a 30-minute early start tomorrow, but whether that's the case or not, we will only get to know that in due course. No confirmation as things stand, but those 250s keeping England afloat in this match. They'd be looking to make it 3-2 for some sort of consolation, for some sort of moral victory. We know England do like getting moral victories, but still a lot of time left in this test match. England making a change, Potts coming into this side. As far as Australia are concerned, you knew there was not going to be Nathan Lyon, there wasn't going to be Pat Cummins either, and so there was no surprises in the 11 that Australia also named over there. Very interesting what Steve Smith had said in the build up to this particular test match. There was a question asked to him about whether he's looking at playing another Ashes or not, and he says that he's really enjoying his batting at the moment. Things are going fine, and it's not something that he has a timeline for in mind at the moment. So that's how things were on day one. They still look good, batter friendly conditions to me. Tomorrow, let's see if England can continue where they left off. That's exactly what they'd be hoping for, not to let the momentum drop. Of course, the two batters, set batters, will have to start from scratch again tomorrow. They would have loved continuing today, but what do you do when rain comes and dictates things in a game of cricket? So the two batters, England will be pinning their hopes on that they carry on the way that they left off today, and would be hoping to make this into an even bigger partnership than it is already. Both in their 70s right now, both very crucial as far as England are concerned. Australia, needless to say, will be looking to get their wickets and make further inroads before they get into the England tail. One match is all that England have won. The second victory will perhaps be bittersweet for them, but with pressure building on both Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum. It's a partnership, by the way, that Ben Stokes says that he is very confident about. He has no doubt in his mind as far as the leadership group is concerned, and he wants to continue with Brendan McCullum, who he feels is absolutely the right man for the job as well. So let's see whether there is a second victory on this particular tour for this English side and for the Ben Stokes Brendan McCullum duo. Remember, England are chasing only their second win since 2011. They've really done precious little as far as winning in Australia is concerned, and we look forward now to day two. Truncated day one, but let's hope we get a full-fledged day two, provided there is an early start as well, so that we can make up for the overs that were lost today. That was that as far as the first day's action is concerned. We'll be back tomorrow to dissect how day two unfolds. Thank you so much for your company, and do subscribe to Sports Day if you haven't done so already.